All right, so we're going to go for some high Vedanta, high philosophy tonight, reaching for the skies here, actually. I was going to read through this and then talk about it for a minute and see if it's helpful at all for us. This is from a book called How to Know God, the Yoga Aphorisms of Patanjali. And this is on verse 17, Yoga and its Practice. It says the experiencer is the Atman, right, which is basically soul. We can translate as soul for now. The experiencer is the Atman, our real nature. The object of experience is the totality of the apparent world, including the mind and the senses. In reality, the Atman alone exists, one without a second, eternally free. But by the false identification through Maya, or through this misunderstanding of what we're looking at, which is the mystery of our present predicament, the Atman is mistaken for the individual ego, subject to all the thought waves which arise and trouble the mind. That is why we imagine that we are unhappy or happy, angry or lustful. The Gita reminds us that this is not really the case in this following verse, which we'll get to in a second. But I just want to kind of talk about what he's saying here is that, we are the self, the spirit. That's why being spiritual means being spirit-like. Somebody is spiritual because they understand that they are by nature spirit and not material, not body, mind. And the way that this happens is that the spirit within us identifies itself with the body and the mind and says, that's me. I'm the body and I'm the mind. And then anything that happens to body and mind, the spirit takes on as happening to itself. And that's why they say that we imagine that we're happy or unhappy, angry or lustful, or all of these different conditions of mind, because the spirit actually doesn't have any of those different conditions. It's the mind that gets bent out of shape on all those things. And because we identify with it, because we think that it's us, then we also experience that condition and think of it as our own. And so he says the Gita reminds us that this is not really the case. And the verse goes like this: the illumined soul thinks always, I am doing nothing. No matter what he sees, hears, touches, smells, eats, etc., this he knows always. I am not seeing, I am not hearing. It is the senses that see. It is the senses that hear and touch the things of the senses. And, so it's this kind of withdrawing from knowing that you're not the doer. And if you're not the doer, then you're not creating karma. And if you're not creating karma, then you're not subject to the laws of karma. And if you're not subject to the laws of karma, you're free, right? And so really what we're trying to do is understand that we are in a dream and knowing that we're in a dream, right? So it's like being in a dream with the one distinction that you know that you are dreaming. And the reason that that all fits with what we just read is, see, when you're in a dream, no matter what you're doing, nothing is being done, right? No matter whether you can build a big house in a dream, big houses don't exist after you wake up. So in the dream, there's all this sense of doership, but there is actually no doing. Nothing is actually happening. And the sages say that this world also is very much like that. And so the way that we realize that we're dreaming realize that we're dreaming while we're dreaming, is to understand there is nothing being done. We constantly remind ourselves, nothing is being done. I am purely the observer of this mystical expression of the divine, as it were. And so that we're always reminding ourselves, that that which changes is unreal. We're looking for that within us that doesn't change, which is the observer. And as we begin to settle into that understanding, as we begin to see and know that notion that there is no doing and that we are not the doer, we find a great deal of freedom in that. And that's when the mind begins to settle, because we start pulling me and mine out of the mind. It begins to settle down and we find some silence. And in that silence, we find our freedom and our bliss, and ultimately our realization, a deeper knowledge, a deeper understanding of what we are. So there you are, some high philosophy for the night. You are not the doer. See if you can find a perspective in yourself where you can know that to be true.